Hello everybody, it's Non-Scene News here, and today we've got lots of breaking dates today. So the first news coming today is coming from Russia, and more specifically we're going to be starting off in the Russian Navy. So we've got news that Russia has successfully tested its new nuclear submarine, the newest multi-purpose nuclear submarine, the Akalisk, of the 885 Yasen-M project, has successfully passed tests and is now being prepared for delivery to the Russian Navy. The CEO of Sevmash Mikhail told Sputnik, the news agency. So Russia is going to be receiving a new nuclear submarine to its national Russian Navy. So again, the Russian Navy is about to receive Russia's latest and new nuclear submarine. So very interesting news. And yesterday I promised you that we'll be going over the Putin Q&A points. So I've gotten all of the key, statements that Putin made in his Q&A, the end of the year Q&A. So we'll just go through this really quickly. So I'll just go over dot point to dot point, and the first topic we'll be going over is Russia's military operation in the Q&A statements. So Putin stated first that the Russian army is advancing along the whole entire front line, with Moscow's military driving the enemy out of the Kursk region as well. The Russian army is moving forward while the Ukrainian forces cannot consolidate their positions in the areas to which they are retreating. Nearly all NATO countries are fighting Russia. The combat readiness of the Russian army is the highest in the world. Russia does not need a truce, but a long-lasting peace provided with reliable security guarantees. Putin stated that he was involved in the decision to develop the Orshnik new medium-range Russian ballistic missile, and emphasized that the new anti-missiles in Poland will not be able to target it. Russia's updated nuclear doctrine increases the responsibility of hostile, non-nuclear states while ensuring Belarus' security. Putin described the period since 2022 a significant test for the country of Russia, noting that he has found himself joking and laughing less since the onset of the special military operation. Now we're going to go to a broader context of the Ukrainian crisis. So Putin stated that the West is afraid of a competition, so it imposes sanctions against Russia. Putin declared his readiness to talk with President-elect Donald Trump at any time. Putin also commented on Joe Biden's pardon on his son Hunter Biden, stating that the US president has revealed himself to be more of a human being than a politician. Putin stated that I cannot blame him for that. He added, Google and YouTube have created problems for themselves in Russia by not complying with the law. Now, Putin talked about the Middle East, and this will be the last key statement coming from Putin. He stated that Putin does not consider that the event unfolding in Syria to be a defeat for Russia. Putin stated that we came there so terrorists cannot obviously take over Syria and emerge there. In general, we have achieved our goals. Putin has not yet met with Assad al-Bashar since his application in Syria, and he hasn't apparently talked to Assad al-Bashar since his arrival in Moscow, but Putin said he will. Putin said that the Syrian army troops and pro-Iranian units throughout Syria retreated without a fight, which Russia evacuated 4,000 Iranian fighters from the Kremlin air base to Tehran. Putin named Israel as the main beneficiary of the crisis in Syria. Russia condemns Israel's seizure of Syrian land, noting that the Israeli Defense Forces is now bringing troops there and is going to strengthen their positions. President Putin said that he does not know what the ultimate goal of Israel is pursuing in the Gaza Strip, but that is only worthy of commendation. So, very interesting news. Putin also declared today that war has been declared on the Russian world today, and he did not really elaborate what he meant by that. We've also got news that Russian railways are now apparently allegedly transferring North Korean 170mm self-propelled guns called the Kosan throughout Russia. So you can see this video here in your bottom left corner. We can apparently and allegedly see North Korean 170mm self-propelled artillery guns. And now let's go to Ukraine. So we've got news today that Ukraine has just announced that it will stop all transit of Russian gas to Europe through its territory in Ukraine from January the 1st. So we can see this image here in your bottom left corner. We can see all the transport routes of Russian gas to Western countries, and if you can clearly see how a lot of Russian pipelines do go through Ukraine that ends up feeding Moldova, Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary, Slovakia, the Czech Republic, Germany, all Russian oil. And we've just gotten news that the Prime Minister of Slovakia has just warned Zelenskyy against blocking Russian gas. So the Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico has just warned Ukraine of consequences if Ukraine blocks the transit of Russian gas destined for Slovakia through its territory. The Prime Minister of Slovakia stated that if Zelenskyy does not allow our gas, a serious conflict may arise. The Slovakian Prime Minister stated. So a lot of European countries are now bringing this topic up with the President Zelenskyy of Ukraine, but I'll just keep you updated on that. Now let's go through some other news coming from Ukraine, that Spain opposes peacekeeping missions in Ukraine. The Prime Minister of Spain stated that Spain will not send troops to participate in military peacekeeping missions along the demarcation line between Russia and Ukraine. Poland has previously announced a similar stance, signaling a limited support among European nations for such operations. So now we've gotten that news that Spain, Croatia, and Poland, and a bit of other countries in Europe opposes peacekeeping missions to Ukraine. We've also got news that Spanish Leopard 2A4 tanks are now being transferred. So if you can see this picture here in your bottom left corner, we can see a lot of Spanish Leopard 2A4 tanks that are about to be delivered to Ukraine. We've also got news today that the Danish government has just announced its 23rd military aid package to Ukraine, valued at 2.1 billion Danish kroner, so that's about 281 million euros, aimed at strengthening the air defense and combat aviation. In the package includes several CV-90 infantry fighting vehicles provided in collaboration with Sweden. We've also got news that Poland has transferred 2 Mi-8s and Bell 112 HP to Ukraine helicopters. So if you can see this again, if you can see this picture here, Poland has transferred 2, it seems Soviet-made Mi-8s to Ukraine. We've also got news that the UK has pledged to send £225 million, so that's about 286 million US dollars worth of aid with military equipment to Ukraine, according to Reuters. The new aid package also included an offer that British troops would train Ukrainian soldiers. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy urged allies to provide more aid to Ukraine and enforce sanctions on Russia in the social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. And now let's go to Ukraine, where we've gotten some statements coming from Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the president of Ukraine. So he stated and he made some interesting comments on Ukraine lowering the mobilization age. He stated that what is the difference whether a person is 20 or 30 years old if he or she is unarmed? This was Zelenskyy commenting on the lowering the mobilization age. He also said that we are talking about weapons here, not people. There are not enough weapons, not a lack of people, the president of Ukraine stated. He also said in Brussels that according to Zelenskyy, the Russian army has lost about 700,000 people, while the Ukrainian army has only lost 40,000. So yeah, that's for you to believe his statements. So we've also got news that since the very beginning of the war in Ukraine, the West has provided Ukraine with more than 6,400 tanks and armed vehicles, over 150 aircraft and helicopters, and 40,000 drones. So this data is actually coming from the Russian General Staff. So according to the Russian General Staff, since the beginning of the war in Ukraine, 6,400 tanks have been delivered to Ukraine, including armored vehicles, over 150 aircraft and helicopters, and 40,000 drones have been delivered to Ukraine since the beginning of the war in Ukraine. And that's all the news we've gotten from Ukraine today. And now let's head to the next news, which is coming from Albania. So Albania is to shut down TikTok for a year, says the Prime Minister. He stated that TikTok is a thug of the neighborhood, said the Albanian Prime Minister. And we've also got some news today coming from Germany. So we've gotten some rumors. So the rumors today is coming from Der Spiegel, the German news agency. So Der Spiegel has reported that the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has an intention to go to Moscow on a peacekeeping mission. So this is not proven by anyone yet. I've only found one source that is stating this. So according to Der Spiegel, a German news agency, Chancellor Scholz is contemplating or actually going to Moscow in the near future on a peacekeeping mission on the topic of obviously Ukraine. We've also got some more news coming from Germany that we've got news of a terrorist attack that has happened in Magdeburg here, a small town in Germany here. So we've got news that a car crashes into a Christmas market in Magdeburg, Germany. So 11 people have reportedly been killed and over 200 people have been injured, and the driver of the vehicle is in custody. So obviously I can't show you the footage of this vehicle, but I can kind of describe it for you. So there was a car who rammed into hundreds of people who were shopping for Christmas gifts, and he is reportedly killed over probably 11 to 4 people and injured 200 people in this horrible act. So the German authorities have labelled this as a terrorist attack. So the terrorist who carried out the attack in Mecklenburg is a Saudi doctor working in a clinic in the town, who has lived in Germany since 2006 and has a German citizenship. So he was captured alive, and an interrogation actually happened on him. And reportedly, he just stated that he just dislikes Germans apparently. So I don't know where that came from or something, but very interesting news. And again, if you want to see this footage of this terrorist attack, you can actually click the link in the description below, which will link you to my Telegram channel, which will be posting uncensored videos and uncensored news, which obviously can't make it on YouTube. And I'll try to update the Telegram every day. So everything I can't show you on YouTube here, I will be able to show you on Telegram. So if you want to do that, it's in the link description below. So the next news today is coming from the Turkish President Erdogan. So we've got some statements coming from the Turkish president. So the first statement is that it must be said loudly that Israel's occupation of Syrian lands is unacceptable. We will continue to corner Israel and force it to act according to the law. Drafting the constitution is the most important step in the process of rebuilding Syria. We are in contact with the new administration in Syria, headed by Ahmed al-Shara. He also said that we are helping the new administration in Syria in the matter of rebuilding the state and concluding a new social contract. Lifting the sanctions imposed during the rule of Assad will help in rebuilding Syria. We will double our trade relations with Syria, which will bring great benefits for both countries in various fields. So this was stated by the Turkish President Erdogan. And we've also gotten some breaking news today that Turkey has just demanded the end of US support to Kurdish militants in control of the northeast Syria. So in this yellow zone here of Syria, this is under control of Kurdish militants in control of northeast Syria. So the Turkish officials have demanded that the Kurdish forces withdraw from the Syrian cities. Turkey has also demanded the end of the US support to Kurdish militants in control of the northeast Syria. And the Turkish officials have demanded that the Kurdish forces withdraw from the Syrian cities of Kobani and Raqqa. So Raqqa is here. I don't know where the other city is, but Very interesting news. And we've also got news that the Turkish President Erdogan is set to visit Damascus within the next 2 weeks. So within the next 2 weeks, we've got news that the Turkish president might be visiting Damascus with the new president, or the new leader of Syria. So I'll keep you updated on that. We've also got news coming from the Georgian breakaway province of Abkhazia. So we've got news that the Abkhazia lawmaker has died from injuries in parliament shootings. So a lawmaker from Georgia's breakaway region of Abkhazia has died following a shooter near the parliament in the capital of Abkhazia in Sukhumi. So this city here. So we've got news that the Telegram channel of AMRA Life reported that the Parliament was discussing a bill to ban cryptocurrency mining, which led to an argument between the deputies and apparently led to the death of the Abkhazia lawmaker who was shot. So we've also got news that the acting president of Abkhazia's breakaway region of Georgia has requested to the Russian Federation with a request for humanitarian free of charge supply of electricity. So according to the acting president of Abkhazia, Abkhazia is apparently on the brink of a humanitarian catastrophe. There's apparently there is no electricity for 9 to 11 hours a day. There are no salaries for officials and public sectors of employees. The acting president hopes that this request will be considered in the near future. So there's a state of emergency in the breakaway province of Abkhazia, and the Abkhazian government has just requested for Russia for electricity supplies, hopefully free, the president stated. Now let's go to Syria, where we got news that Syrian forces were pelting Russian military equipment with stones. So if you can see here in your bottom left corner, we can see the Syrian militants actually, well, the Syrian HTS rebels actually hitting Russian troops and Russian vehicles with stones as they pass by. We've also got news that the US will no longer pursue the $10 million reward for justice penalty of Ahmad al-Shara, which is the new leader of Syria. So, and he is obviously the leader of the HTS, according to the Assistant Secretary Barbara Leaf of the US. So the US will no longer pursue the $10 million bounty of the leader of Syria. We've also got news that the Pentagon confirms that around 2,000 US troops have been deployed in Syria. And we've also got news that the German foreign minister has announced that Kurdish troops must be disarmed and integrated into the national army in Syria. Turkish security must not be threatened from the northern Syria. This was stated by the German foreign minister. And the Syrian minister of education has announced that the new administration in Syria will not restrict women rights to education, and to primary schools will be remained mixed. So interesting news. We've also got news of a new map of Israel's temporary military operation in southern Syria. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, this is roughly the Israeli army's position in the operation in Syria. We've also got news today that a huge missile strike has happened in Israel and Yemen again. So we've got news that a hypersonic ballistic missile launched by the Yemeni Houthis struck the center of Tel Aviv, the Israeli city here. So if you can see this video here, we can see this very clearly very fast hypersonic Yemeni ballistic missile that's hit its target in central Tel Aviv. So apparently the Israeli air defense systems were not able to intercept the missile, and again we don't know the damage what that Yemeni missile inflicted. And in response, the UK and the US actually launched a new missile strike in Yemen, again in its capital of Sana'a. So you can see here in this footage here, the Yemeni and UK naval forces struck the Yemeni capital and apparently targeted Houthi positions. So according to the CENTCOM, the US conducts airstrikes against Iran-backed Houthi missile storage and command and control facilities in Yemen. So the US Central Command Forces conducted a precision airstrikes against a missile storage facility and a command and control facility operated by Iran-backed Houthis within the Houthi-controlled territory in Sana'a. So CENTCOM forces conducted the deliberate strikes to disrupt the Belgrade Houthi operations, such as attack against US Navy warships and merchant vessels in southern Red Sea and in the Gulf of Aden, and obviously striking Israel. So, very interesting news. And in this operation, the US Air Force and the US naval assets used American F/A-18s to strike. And we've also got news today that there's been some friendly fire incident in the Red Sea as well. So the US Navy F/A-18 Super Hornet from the aircraft carrier USS Harry Truman was accidentally shot down by another US warship, cruiser USS Gettysburg, GG-64 in the Red Sea near Yemen. So the Super Hornet was destroyed in a friendly fire incident. Both pilots ejected safely and were rescued by the US Navy forces. One pilot sustained minor injuries. So within this huge strike with Yemen, there was a bit of friendly fire, which resulted of one American F/A-18F Super Hornet being shot down by friendly forces. We've also got some more statements coming from Israel that the Israeli media reports of a significant progress in talks to normalize relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia. According to reports, Saudi Arabia has dropped its demand that Israel formally recognizes a Palestinian state, instead of agreeing on a vague commitment to create conditions for the establishment of a Palestinian state. So apparently, Israeli and Saudi Arabian relations seem to be easing and normalizing. And the next news today is coming from Africa, where we've got news that the Nigerian army plans to acquire 43 units of the Bayraktar Turkish-made TB2 UCAVs to boost operations in the northwest, announced by the General of Nigeria, Osleka, during a ceremony in Abuja for newly trained drone operators. So a Nigerian general has made some comments that the Nigerian army plans to acquire 43 units of the Bayraktar Turkish 2B2 UCAVs. So I'll keep you updated on that. We've also got news today that we've got some news that the Sudanese authorities have officially rejected Russia's request for a naval presence in Port Sudan, despite Russia's offer to provide an S-400 missile defense system and 50% of Sudan's oil. So the Russians are seeking a new warm water naval base after Syria, it appears. So Russia is now wanting to buy, get some port licenses in Port Sudan here, which apparently, according to Sudanese authorities, have officially been rejected. So, as I stated, the Russians offered an S-400 missile defense system and 50% of Sudan's oil. So, I thought that would be a pretty good trade offer, but apparently Sudan has other things to worry about. We've got some news coming from the French overseas territory of Mayotte. We've got news that Macron arrived in Mayotte after a cyclone hit. So a hurricane hit this island. So the French President Macron was met by angry residents on his arrival to the cyclone-hit French island of Mayotte. The president tried to explain to the people that it was the cyclone to blame for the troubles, not him. However, the locals booed him and demanded his resignation. So in this hurricane, a cyclone, at least 31 people died and thousands of more were affected in this overseas island here of Mayotte in the French province here. So it seems that a lot of people are not happy with Macron. And now we've got some news coming from China, that China has successfully launched its communication technology test satellite. So China has successfully launched a test communication tech satellite into space in the Space Center of Taishang Satellite Launch Center. The Long March 3B carrier rocket delivered the satellite into orbit, marking the Long March series rocket's impressive 554th mission. So, China launches a huge satellite into space, and it successfully does so. And now let's go to Canada. We've got news that the NDP will vote to bring down Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada. So we've got some news coming from Canadian Parliament members that a non-vote confidence is set to be set in the Canadian Parliament for Justin Trudeau to be outed as Prime Minister of Canada. We've also got news today coming from the US. So the US House has just passes the stopgap funding bill, averting government shutdown. So after signing the bill into law, Joe Biden released a statement describing the final agreement as a compromise that funds necessary priorities and praised it as a good news ahead of the holiday seasons. So the House voted Friday evening and the Senate voted shortly after midnight to pass this stopgap bill that continues the government's funding and providing disaster reliefs and farms. And we've also got news that Donald Trump said that he may demand the Panama Canal to be returned to the United States. So I don't know how serious he is about this matter, but in here, if you can see here in your bottom left corner, Donald Trump made a huge tweet where he went into detail that he might demand the Panama Canal to be returned to the United States. So I don't know how serious he is about this, but only time will tell. We've got news coming from Cuba. That's Cuban protesters rally against the US trade blockade amid economic crisis. Hundreds of protesters gathered outside of the US embassy in Havana, the capital city of Cuba, on Friday, calling the Biden administration to lift long-standing sanctions on Cuba. The Cuban president addressed the demonstration, slamming Washington for doing nothing to evaluate the economic suffocation of the island nation. And the last news today is coming from Brazil. We've got news that Brazil has unveiled the logo to be used during its 2025 BRICS presidency. So this symbol is obviously a tree in the Amazon rainforest. So Russia is the president of BRICS right now, holds the presidency of BRICS. So now Russia will be transferring the BRICS power to Brazil. So I'll keep you updated on that. And that's all the news I actually have for you today. I am Non-C News. I'll try and provide you news that the medias around the world do not show you. I do these videos hopefully daily, so consider subscribing and liking. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.